try to give him to him. So he'll be a guy that if he shows up and does the exact right thing, he can win the fight. If he don't do the right thing, which I don't see him doing, I don't know why he would at this point.
The weight, moving up in weight classes, s- serious. He did the dieting, he did the training. So I feel like when you put in work like that,
When you get bigger, you do slow down a little bit, but that doesn't mean he's gonna be ineffective at that weight. I think it's a bona fide good point to make. Sometimes it does wind up that way, but I'll give you Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones Jr. Put on weight, was muscular as he moved up the weight classes, and didn't it didn't affect him.
Roy Jones Jr. believes Canelo Alvarez won't be able to withstand Terence Crawford, pointing to the decline in energy and sharpness that once defined Canelo's game. He voiced disappointment over Canelo's current form, questioning why he seems diminished at this stage of his career. In contrast, Jones lauded Crawford's unwavering determination, laser focus, and world-class skill set. He argued that the weight gap won't be a deciding factor, as Crawford's technique, timing, and ring IQ can offset any size advantage. In Jones' view, stepping in against a fighter as skilled and relentless as Crawford will expose Canelo's present vulnerabilities, making this clash far more dangerous than many expect.
And what I'm seeing is I see a hungry Crawford, a Crawford that has been looking for the opportunity for a long time, finally getting the opportunity, and really ready to grab the opportunity. And with Canelo, I see a guy who not necessarily hungry, but loves to entertain, loves to give us the big fight. Always tries to give the big fight. He finds a way to give us big fights. Not going to always win them, but he always tries to give them to us. So he'll be a guy that, if he shows up and does the exact right thing, he can win the fight. If he don't do the right thing, which I don't see him doing, I don't know why he would at this point. I don't know. It'll all be predicated upon how well Terence can take his punch.
Yeah. You said you don't think, or you don't look into the weight difference. Why?
So you know how to box. When you're as skillful as Terence Crawford is.
Roy Jones Jr. cautions that if Canelo steps into the ring overconfident, assuming victory over Terence Crawford is a foregone conclusion, he could be in for a brutal wake-up call. Jones stresses that underestimating Crawford's skill, strategy, and adaptability might leave Canelo vulnerable to a hard, potentially punishing defeat.
And I'm going to tell you why it's hard to call. It's hard to call because it'll all be predicated upon how Canelo approaches the fight. If Canelo approaches the fight like he's the man and he can box and outbox Terence Crawford, he'll get beat. If he comes out and shows that he really wants to go out and prove where he's still the best, he might win. So it all depends on which Canelo comes to.
Olympic boxer Omari Jones has voiced strong confidence that Terence Crawford will defeat Canelo Alvarez. Jones noted that Crawford's weight gain for this fight stands apart from the typical approach of fighters moving up in divisions. Rather than adding mass carelessly, Crawford has followed a carefully planned and precisely executed process. By sticking to the right diet, maintaining strict conditioning, and putting in the necessary work, he's managed to preserve his trademark speed and agility while adapting to the higher weight class. According to Jones, this methodical preparation makes the matchup a win-win scenario for Crawford.
meeting Crawford several times, it's like the man is just so competitive. It's like I don't even have to say nothing to him. He'll just like, man, when we sparring, it's like his competitiveness is always gonna put him over the edge, and then he just has that like, I'm not gonna let you bully me, or his skill set. And I know they talk about Charlo when Charlo moved up, but I feel like it may be a little bit different for Canelo this time around because Crawford took the weight, moving up in weight classes serious. He did the dieting, he did the training. So I feel like when you put in work like that, it's a win-win. So
So, so you don't think Crawford, gaining that weight, because I saw him, he's pretty big. You don't
yes.
think that's going to be a disadvantage for him in this fight?
No, it looked like he put it on the right way.
While the physical challenge of facing a larger opponent is undeniable, Jones believes Terence Crawford's skill, discipline, and commitment will enable him to adapt seamlessly. He emphasizes that Crawford isn't simply adding weight for size alone, he's sculpting his body to carry it efficiently, without sacrificing the speed, precision, and agility that make him so dangerous in the ring. For Jones, this bout is a testament to a disciplined athlete pushing himself to new limits, determined to prove he can rise to the occasion against one of boxing's most formidable champions.
You know, the nutrition, like I said, the training. Crawford, he trains hard, so I feel like I know they say he probably went up to like 185, so he has to lose that weight. But I think if he did it the right way, which I know he did, he'll be successful in September.
And I know you, like we discussed earlier, we talked with your pro debut, and now you're 3-0. Your last fight, July 19th against Blanco, and it's actually your third win by knockout.
Yes.
Super proud of you. How are you feeling about your pro career so far?
I'm feeling great about my pro career. I definitely feel like it's off to a great start. My pro debut in my hometown, and then I was my second fight, Atlantic City on the Boots card, and then my third fight on the Bam Rodriguez undercard. So Matchroom and Eddie Hearn, they're putting me on these cards, shining light.
Former world champion Pauli Malignaggi has taken notice of Terence Crawford's physical transformation ahead of this bout, especially his increased size. Malignaggi sees this added mass as a major advantage, not a drawback. He pointed out that Crawford has bulked up without losing the quickness, footwork, and timing that have been hallmarks of his career. In contrast, Malignaggi noted, many fighters who move up in weight often lose their sharpness, becoming slower and less mobile, a pitfall Crawford seems to have avoided.
You get bigger, you do slow down. A little bit. That doesn't mean he's going to be ineffective at that weight. I think it's a bona fide good point to make. Sometimes it does wind up that way, but I'll give you Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones Jr. Put on weight, was muscular as he moved up the weight classes, and it didn't affect him. Good old Manny Pacquiao did the same thing, So there's times where it affects, and there's times where I guess if you put it on the right way. Only Crawford knows it because the way he's training, right? Because you're gonna be sparring with this added weight, you're gonna be doing the boxing training with this added weight, so you're gonna know how to maybe taper it down if you need to, or keep it going if you need to. I think over the course of camp, if you start to feel too yoked up, and you get big, and then you're sacrificing reflexes, you're sacrificing athleticism.
Crawford, however, seems to have found the perfect balance, adding the strength and durability needed to contend with a naturally bigger opponent like Canelo, while preserving the agility essential to his style. Malignaggi credits Crawford's professionalism and meticulous approach to training, noting that his physical growth enhances rather than hinders his existing skill set. In Malignaggi's view, Crawford is poised to perform at his peak despite the jump in weight, and the added power could even work to his advantage in handling Canelo's relentless pressure.
Roy Jones is Roy Jones, but also Terence Crawford is Terence Crawford. But John Ruiz is not Canelo Alvarez, so that's another aspect of that comparison. And yes, exactly what the champ said, exactly what Abel Sanchez said. You're going to put on weight, you're going to be a different fighter. And I can say this even as a fighter as myself. As I've gotten heavier in my retirement, I try and move around the gym. It just feels different. And even when you start camp, you feel different in the beginning than you do at the end. But listen, we're still 4 or 5 weeks away. I don't know exactly what Terence is weighing right now. And even if he does say what he weighs, man, he's gone out there and said he's weighed, all types of crazy numbers just to get media to respond. So it's really not really going to know until the fight and we see these guys next to each other. He might look bigger right now, but he might not be that.
Renowned boxing analyst Max Kellerman has delivered a detailed technical breakdown of the Terence Crawford-Canelo Alvarez clash. He highlighted Crawford's jab as one of the most precise and effective weapons in boxing today, fast, impeccably timed, and capable of dictating the pace of a fight. While Canelo once wielded a similarly sharp jab earlier in his career, Kellerman observed that it has faded in recent years. This shift, he argued, gives Crawford a decisive edge in range control and point scoring. Beyond the jab, Kellerman praised Crawford's tactical brilliance, calling him a fighter who can adjust on the fly and capitalize on openings that most opponents never even notice.
First attribute, best jab. Crawford. Best defense. Crawford. Nowadays, Crawford. I would say early in the fight, Canelo. And earlier in his career, Canelo. But he hasn't been that kind of fighter in recent years. Although Crawford is also hittable. With any fighter, when you talk about their defense, the question is not, can they be hit with a shot? You take punches. Everyone, the greatest defensive fighters ever get hit. Pernell Whitaker, Willie Pep, Floyd Mayweather, they all get hit. The question is, can you hit him with combinations? And both guys are hard to hit. With the two-piece, hard to hit.
So who has the best footwork out of the two?
In terms of cutting off the ring, last fight notwithstanding, Canelo has gotten much better at cutting off the ring.
Kellerman contrasted this with Canelo's tendency to lean on his natural size, strength, and power to overwhelm smaller opponents. In his view, if Crawford can disrupt Canelo's forward momentum and turn the fight into a cerebral, tactical battle, the advantage shifts sharply in Crawford's favor. This blend of technical precision and high-level fight IQ, Kellerman believes, is one of Crawford's most potent weapons heading into the matchup.
And was much more comfortable counterpunching. But overall, I have to say Crawford. If you go down the list and ask me about tactical advantages, most of them are Crawford. What Canelo has is size, and as a result, physical strength and punching power. Canelo also has a great chin. But in terms of, if you want to go skill for skill, especially the recent version of Canelo, who's had to turn into a seek and destroy guy, who had to learn as his career went on to cut off the ring and not just follow guys around. Like Lara, Trout, Floyd, he followed those guys around. He had trouble because he's really a natural counterpuncher who wants you to come to him. But in recent years at super middleweight, he's gotten really good at cutting off the ring. Again, last fight notwithstanding. So as an overall suite of skills, recent vintage, it's been Crawford.
Okay.
But Canelo also is skilled and is a...
Popular boxing commentator Showbiz the Adult has offered a balanced and respectful perspective on the matchup. He credited Canelo's physical strength and the intensity of his training camps, which have helped him sustain dominance at the sport's highest levels. Canelo's ability to absorb punishment, apply relentless pressure, and deliver sharp counterpunches makes him a threat to any opponent. At the same time, Showbiz praised Crawford's unique background, highlighting how his early experience in wrestling has sharpened his ability to read opponents, counter their strategies, and adapt under pressure. He also noted that Canelo's use of his legs for positioning and balance remains a key factor in his fighting style.